Got myself a three-wheeler. Nice. I think I am covered in fecal matter. It's because this wheel, where it came off down the track, and the cattle have been walking backwards and forwards. I needed to roll it up to the tractor and go down to get it. And it's quite heavy to roll with the hub and the dish and everything still in place. A little bit off balance to push as well. Needs new tyres as well. I'll take that off. I'll get going on this now. Let's bring her in for questioning. We were shown in college to wedge a block of wood in there on a 135, but wood won't work on a tractor this size. It just crushes the wood. Well, if you jack it up all the way maybe and then put a piece of wood in there, it'll work, but I didn't have a piece of wood with me the other night. I did have a Cat 3 ball. It's sitting nice there. It's so much pressure on that thing, it can't slide or move or anything. I did think of stopping on the way home and welding, just tack welding it onto the axle, but I'd have to cut it off then, wouldn't I? Just make sure that she's not bouncing. I should have put more air in that tyre before I started though, to stop her lurching, because she's lurching and a little bit like that. But no, it's alright. I'll put an axle stand underneath this now. I might have to jack it up first. I don't think my axle stands are short enough. You see that the bearing's been getting a bit of wear. There's lots of steel shavings in the grease slash oil here now. There's a seal there. The seal's still pretty good, except for that part of it, which is knackered. Where it was leaking, I suppose, this thing started coming apart. It's an odd seal. It's like a foam. Don't remember putting that in. I pulled this apart and put new bearings and stuff in it about 7 years ago. I don't know how that nut came loose. Might not have. There's a corner here. I think it was clenched. You hit the end of the nut in the groove to stop it from turning. Must have gone back to the same place as it was. I might have used the same section of I'm gonna stop that sliding off. Use the same section of the nut in the same place. Not a good thing to do, really. Bad practice. Don't do that. I'll wipe this down now and then I'll put the steam cleaner on it, so we got a nice and clean working environment then, and we can see what's going on. Moved it over a bit now. That's why I was cursing the axle stand for not fitting there in the first place. I could have jacked it up in the centre there. We're on a little bit of a slope, so I'm keen on jacking the centre up in case the whole tractor just went to the left. But I still don't know why these axle stands have to be the length that they are. It doesn't matter, that last 4 inches, never use it. I don't know what it's for. But anyway, it's just me. I'll get these track rods off. I'm pretty sure I'll have to take this hub off and take this little drive gear off here. It's what drives the final drive. They're actually driven by the flange. So these bolts are what actually drive the tractor, and the dowels in there. It's funny to think that the whole thing relies on that little plate to drive. Well, not the whole thing, the front axle. The Land Rovers are the same as well, and final drives on trucks and stuff. Like she's got no diesel. I don't know if the half inch will take it off. Half inch bar. Not long since I put these on, I put new track rods on the tractor a few years ago. Contrary to what you might think by watching these videos, I actually have taken as good a care of this tractor as possible. I rebuilt the transmission 12 years ago. Complete rebuild. I didn't change the synchros. She'd had synchros just before I had her. They only had maybe 1,000. Should have put a wire brush on the threads before I started. That would have been alright. They're not old. 3 years maybe. Once I put them on. This tractor had a little bit of a makeover 3 years ago. New air seat and new steer arms. Those steer arms made a massive difference to it. Take this pin out. I want to get steering pipes for it as well. We've patched these up twice now. Some idiot reversed back after taking the loader off and didn't put the legs down, so loader landed on there, smashed it twice. Live and learn, they say. Live and do the same mistake over and over again. Probably means I'm insane. Oh well. I don't feel insane, but I might well be. There's nothing holding us down, just grease. Yeah, they don't stick through. Grease and dust holding it in, I think. Gotta leave this thing on my head for a bit. Circle clip on it. Don't force things if it's not working. I thought it was dangerous for it not to have anything. These little circlip pliers I bought when I was about 15. Will they work? Probably not. Probably the most useless pliers I've ever had. Never worked on hardly anything. I've got enough spread on them. It's good, isn't it? These little clips can keep you entertained for hours sometimes. There's oh, fits in it. It was the wrong way around one. Put all the parts on here, which isn't good, but tools and everything there. I'll hammer this thing off now. Can't seem to find any normal sized hammers, so this was a bit of overkill on them. There you go. I wasn't giving it a good enough slap. Pin out. Damn thing out the way. Can turn this so I can give in there a bit of a better clean now, so everything's not covered in grease and rubbish. See if this gear will slide off. I'm not too optimistic, to be honest. This in here is the seal that was leaking, but it was leaking because the bearing got loose and the hub was doing that. I think that's why it was leaking. I'll take this back circlip off as well. I fixed this in the mud and in the rain about 7 years ago. Tractors. Oh, 7 years ago? 9 years ago. I ordered the parts before doing it. Then I found that there was a little bush inside here that needed changing. But I needed the tractor back together to feed the cattle, so she didn't get a bush. I thought that's why it was leaking. See if these characters will come off. Take the bottom ones first so it stays on and it'll fall off. Since the thick has been loose like that, well, it might be alright actually. It's not, I don't think it's, but I'll change the seal on the end of the axle as well. I changed that last time as well. There's a little rubber bush in here where the shaft rides, and I thought they'd have a bearing on the inside as well, but it just had a little bush, which I did not change last time. So I'll change that this time as well. This will cost me quite a bit of money now, I think, doing everything, but this is a forever tractor for me, so this tractor can do me till I'm 80. The greenies won't like it, but I challenge them to beat the carbon footprint of this thing with a new tractor made from batteries and not just a new tractor. The fact that this is in use all the time offsets any carbon footprint. The manufacture itself of the whole tractor, all of these modern vehicles that they yak on about being environmentally friendly, they're not taking into account every individual person in that factory driving to work and driving home and living. Their whole life and work and all the carbon and all those employees are releasing in their whole life go into each tractor, not just the emissions of the factory putting it together. Each individual bearing and the people who went to work to make that bearing, this casting, all the people in the factory, the manager in the office, the coffee cups that went into that building because they were doing that. I'm not saying they're not supposed to work or have lives. What I'm saying is all the carbon from what they're doing in their whole life, since that is their occupation, goes into that vehicle, as that is their financial purpose, I suppose. This thing isn't creating any carbon by existing. currently being used. As environmentally friendly as it gets, I'm afraid. People of wacko environmental activism. Stop and think for a minute before acting. Look at yourselves. I don't care what anyone says anyway, I'll do my own thing and that's that. We can adjust the slap with the shims on these. Looks like it's got a shim missing there. Still on the plate. Top and bottom one are the same, I think. I got a missing shim. Huh. I'll have to measure the one next to it and order a shim as well then. The kingpin on that side fell off. It didn't fall out. I was just checking the tractor over because I do have a look every now and again. Check that everything's alright. Every day, pre-start check. I noticed there was a gap. The bottom pin is falling out on the far side there, so check your kingpins are firmly secured. You don't want them falling out any more than you want the wheel to fall off. Axles can be dangerous things. Not properly cared for, maintained or worked on. That thing would be better off with one less shim than being a shim short. It feels like I should just pull off actually with that in place. The shaft's my problem. I think it'll clear for the shaft. No, I can't pull it off the... Well, maybe I can, but I'll just pull it apart anyway. When you're using hand tools like this all the time, I'm amazed when I see someone take things off with an impact of how quickly and simple it makes the job. Or how quick it makes the job. Take this off and then the whole thing should pull off of the shaft. I'll put that there like that so I know it's the top one. And it's corroded as well. Just leaves the shaft there. There's the little bush I said inside there. Where I reckon they would have a bearing. So the base of that shaft just rides on that bush. I'll get a new bush this time. A new seal in here again. It's pretty well chewed up, that thing. These just pull out. They eventually pull out in it. I didn't do anything to take it off last time. Yeah, I must have taken that out. Does it have to come all the way out? If it doesn't have any sort of effect at all on it, well, no way it's anywhere near it now. No, hasn't been anywhere near it for most of the I've got a bucket of gear oil there that I store the gear oil in. I'll put new UJs in these as well. These things go, well, I've never replaced them. I reckon they got 18,000 hours on them. Don't want to have to stop and change it again. Fix it. It's probably just holding in the seal there now. It's good just to stop and check, especially when you're not using a manual to do the job. Yeah, there you go. Comes all the nice clean gear oil. You can see how well maintained she is by the colour of the gear oil there. I reckon if you treat these machines well, they repay you. Take this in the shed so it doesn't get damaged. So all the new UJs. Oh, there's the bearing. I'll put a new bearing and seal in there as well. While I'm at it, be pretty much a fully refurbished unit then. The other hub, sorry, the bench is a shithole, an injector pumping bits here. Shaft's got a little bit of wear on it, but it seems to be alright where the seal is. It actually looks like seal wear. I should replace it, but she wasn't leaking. I'll just put a new seal in there. Those seals wear the shafts out in time, especially 18,000 hours of running, but she wasn't leaking, so put a new seal in it anyway. She'll be good. Then I'll put a new bush. It rides on the bush there. I was quite disappointed that I didn't have a bush last time. I must have changed the bearing here as well last time. I wouldn't have not changed it. No, I was in a hurry. I might not have changed it just because shaft's still a bit rusty from last time, I suppose. Would have been out in the rain. Yeah, I wouldn't have had the bearing unless I asked him over the phone for all. I did ask him for all the bearings, but he would have given me all the ones in the hub, not the ones. These have to show. Not the ones in the axle. This hub here, I've never touched it. And she's not leaking anything. Or is she? All of a sudden? No. All the others have had grease, new bearings. So you can see here why it's important not to have a bale wrap wind around these. If you get bale wrap winding around like lots of farmers do and bale twine and stuff, it walks in and it just keeps on forcing its way through, and it compresses really tight and makes this hot. It'll heat this up a lot, it'll make the oil thin, and it'll start burning the seal. It'll start pushing its way through the seal as well. You see there's damaged the hub there. And there. It's chipped off, but it's not a mating surface, so it doesn't matter. The outside here is where it seals. I'm running my finger there now. I'm just feeling for any damage there. There's a groove where the seal runs here as well. You can see the line. Those seals are, the nylon over time is harder wearing than this high tensile steel. These aren't hardened, I don't think. They're just high tensile, or whatever you want to call them. I don't know if it's made from the same stuff as the pins, the EN24 or not. I know Big Baz, the welder fabber, said the EN24 is hardened, but it's hardened after they make the pins. You can buy EN24 as a steel that isn't hardened. You can also buy it hardened. It's called EN24T then. Got the bearing race there, so I'll replace this bearing seal out here, bush in the middle there. She'll need a new nut. I need to take the final drive apart. I'll need to take this whole hub off and see what the damage is there. I'll take the other side after this. I'll drop this on its face so I can get the hub out. Or the final drive assembly, whatever you want to call it. This bugger, I've been intending on tightening that for about 5 years. I had nothing to hold on to it. I'm sure a piece of box section will turn it. I tightened all the others up and I re-welded around them because she was leaking air, but she's still tubeless. I managed to get the welds to hold the air in. I'm sure she doesn't have a tube. Ah, there you go, tubeless valve. They're bad for cracking rims. These are the older Ford ones were, I think they're the same rims, not sure. She's never cracked the back one. The front ones are well known. I put a loader on a tractor with 15,000 hours on her, whatever amount of hours she had on her 6-7 years ago. 8 years ago, 9 years ago. And I was asking for trouble, but she carries 2 silage bales on the loader, no problem. No cracking issues or anything. I just run about 2 or 3 runs around the outside of the brackets, just so that it spreads the weight out on the dish a bit. You go one weld, all the weight of that little bracket is on that one weld. If you do a few runs around, it's got a bigger foot then. It's harder for the dish itself to flex under weight, and there's more surface area as well, holding and grabbing, much less room for it to crack. And let them cool down then on their own accord. I welded them with the tyre still on. I just took the valve off in case it got hot and went up to about 70 psi or something. I don't recommend welding them with the thing full of air. For one thing, it could blow the weld out in your face. Depends on the size of the tyre and how long you're welding it for. It'll build pressure by getting hot. Don't do it. Not sure how I'll get on opening these. I haven't opened them for a few years. The threads are covered in oil and stuff on the other side, so is where I'm losing out for not having an impact. I'll have to not bounce on it. I'll get the extension pipe. They're slack enough or the wheel's heavy enough. Seem to be cracking off. The wheel with the final drive in is pretty heavy. It's about 200 kilos, I think. It's not far off. It's difficult to flip. Might as well walk a complete revolution on each one. Oh, wasn't good then, it was kind of half slipping off. Should really probably I'll get those things tightened up. I might change them for bolts anyway. Not sure what the idea of them is if for clamping on a twin wheel with a hook, like a hook goes through and pulls it on. Never used twin wheels, so unfamiliar to me. One thing I don't like about these Ford bolt studs and nuts are just the studs on the front axles on them. The heads on the bolts are a bit short. They can be easy to round off if you're not careful. You know, the socket's able to lean over. Or I got a crap ratchet socket set. They're loose enough now for me to undo them with the small ones. I don't know why I'm showing you me opening wheel nuts. It's like most pointless thing to show anyone in the world. This thing doesn't get any lighter to lift up. It's that much lighter now. Can't remember if there's a groove. Don't look like it. Drop it on its edge on the piece of wood. No. Get it by the dowel. Yep. Roll it around to the other dowel. Yep. Just walk it off a bit like that. Make sure it comes off square. You don't want to beat stuff like this. All the stuff you can break them off. The flange will break. Especially if it's made by British Leyland. I'm not saying that this is made by British Leyland. Probably one of the best things they made in this country, this tractor. Old piece of the mill. Oh, they seem alright. Binding up a little bit on. Have to pull them apart and clean them. Check them for chips and damage. This nut, I believe, was the problem. Must have been loose a while. Should have checked it really. All I was intending on. Can't check every nut and bolt all the time, can you? On everything. When you have a leak. You can have 10 leaks at the same time and not have a wheel come off. That's where it was. Must have been where it was clenched. It's not clenched in the same place, so it's clenched there and there. I don't know if it was 2 grooves. Oh yeah, it had 2 grooves. Must have been clenched in the same place. Might have broken off, because a piece of that's missing, and that's what all this fine material is, bits of that knocked off. Hey! Problem is, you thread them back on and put them in the same place. They land in the same position and you're reusing the nut. We'll even thread on now. I'm not intending on using this nut again. Seeing if it's going to thread. Seems crooked. This hub will have to be changed. I'll have to get another hub. The thread's too damaged. Looks alright though. I might be able to salvage that. There's 1,200 quid I'll be able to salvage. The thread goes all the way to there, so the nut's holding on these threads, not on these ones. Yeah, the end of the nut is flush with the end of the hub, pretty much. I might be able to just clean the thread with a file and get it working. I'm not going to buy another one for 1,200 quid or whatever, just for sake of a few last winding of thread. You know? But I will put a new nut on. She'll need new bearings. Big bearing in here somewhere, so. Oh, there we go. That thing was new last time as well. It could be new again. Ah, the jam on there. And I said that thing been hot, but it doesn't have the smell of heat. It's not been hot. The grease still smells, well, it's quite a sweet smell to it. And you get that liquid grease. It smells the same. It's grease mixed with EP90, so that's why it's such a runny grease. Pretty well clean enough now. I'll give them a quick wash. Wash them on the grill. Grills and baskets are pretty handy for washing parts. Don't blow around everywhere.